Everybody, we are back with a very special guest. I have been trying for a little minute now to get somebody from BKFC on, and we got him, folks. Everyone, y'all give a huge welcome to Luis Villasenor. I hope I didn't butcher that too much, brother, but how are you?
That's all right. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day out here in San Diego, and I'm thankful for the opportunity to be on here with you. So thank you for that.
Bro, thank you so much for coming on, man. Like I was saying before we started getting going, I have been wanting to know what it's like in the BKFC industry for so long now, man. I've been watching it since 2018 and watching it grow over these years has been insane.
Yeah, it's really taken off. Yeah, from back in 2018. Just the other day, I went back and watched BKFC one, and to see where it's at now from where it was then. It's only 6 years, and then you had COVID interrupt some of it. So it hasn't even been 6 years, and it's come a long way, man. I am so thankful to just be part of the organization. They provide a real good opportunity. So I'm super thankful for BKFC, and yeah, it's grown, and it's only gonna get bigger. People, they're signing new people up. It's always a good opportunity with them, and they're super busy. So it's great.
It's wild, man. I mean, they were only legal in Wyoming, I think. When I first
Yeah,
started
that's where it
watching it,
started.
yeah, just Wyoming. And like you said, it was maybe six fights on the card, the whole
Yeah.
card. And I remember saying too, like, man, what if they one day could get like former UFC guys on here or former boxers? And then we get the fight like Artem Lobov versus Jason Knight. And dude,
Yeah, that it's been some fights, man. It's definitely been some fights. And I'll tell you this real quick about BKFC, and what I think is the biggest thing they got going on, aside from the big names, aside from going to Spain now and how it's grown, aside from all of that, the opportunity that BKFC provides for people like me. I don't have a big, huge record. I came into BKFC with no record at all. I had never fought in my life, right? So to be able to provide that opportunity for somebody like me to get on the big stage with the big lights, on a basically a pay-per-view event. So it provides a huge opportunity. And I'll tell you how I got through. I went through the tryouts, right? So I really love that about BKFC. You can go to a tryout, you know, and I'll be honest, if you don't look like a bum, and you start doing that, you can't go up there and look like a bum and expect to get a fight. You're not. So fighting has always been a big part of my life. I've always trained. I just I never got around to it. I joined the military right at 18, so it was something that was always in my head. I feel like I've always been a fighter, but I never, was able to do it in any kind of stage or, as a professional at all. So the opportunity that it provides, I think it's the biggest thing they got going for them. And I think it's a great thing because you get people like me that, you would have never known. And then I go out, out in July, a couple of months ago, and I get this huge knockout, and we're entertaining fans. So you would have never known about me, but BKFC gave me that platform. So aside from how big it's gotten, aside from everything that they're doing, they're providing opportunities. So I'm super grateful and thankful for that.
dude, that's badass. To even hear how you got started in it and to like at the beginning when you were telling me you retired from the was it the Navy you said?
Navy, yeah.
So you retired from the Navy. At what age did you retire, Luis?
38, 2018.
38.
Yeah.
So 38 you retire, right? How did you hear about the tryouts and how did you get in the tryouts? And what is it like?
So in 2018, I started watching BKFC. Right. But
Same.
just retiring, I had a lot of stuff going on. Like I mentioned, I had to do a little jail time for some stuff that happened while I was on active duty. Thank God I got to retire, but I had to go do my time. It wasn't much. It was like 8 months in jail. Got that done with, and I think I spent like a year and a half where I didn't really do much. Just spend time with my kids and my family. Having just
Yeah.
retired. I
Enjoying it.
retired coming. I retired coming back off of a deployment and to do some jail time. So spending time with the kids was super important to me. But then, right after all that, I started thinking about fighting. And I actually took an MMA fight, an amateur MMA fight, but that got canceled by COVID. So I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go for it. I'm gonna do this BKFC thing. What do I need to do? And I started seeing the tryouts. And I guess if you want to do something, you do whatever it takes, right? So I flew myself to Alabama. Never been to
Wow.
Alabama. I didn't know what was going to happen at the tryout. I didn't know if I was going to get a chance at the tryout. I didn't know anything. I just flew myself out there, got a hotel and some Uber rides, and I made it to the tryout, man. And like I said, they're willing to give you the opportunity. They saw something in me at the tryout. I believe my Alabama tryout. I believe there's only been 4 of us that got in fights, so I'm super lucky to be
Wow.
part of those 4. David Simpson was there at the tryout, right? David Simpson is obviously just coming off of a KO win himself a few months ago. So I've actually been out to train with David Simpson, part of the No Quarter Combatives team out in Kansas. So I know him personally. Awesome dude. Tony Loco Soto came from that tryout. So, he's coming up for that championship belt here in a few, right? Daniel Alvarez came out of that tryout, and then myself. Daniel Alvarez just got a Netflix deal. So
Mm-hmm.
that's awesome for him. And then myself. So 4 of us were at that tryout, man. And that's how BKFC provides that opportunity. Like I said, you don't have to come in with this big record. You don't have to be this big name. You go to their tryout, uh, and then you can get that opportunity. So that was great. But yeah, I flew myself out there. That's how I got into it. And flew myself out there. We did the tryout. The tryout is super cool. Everybody's super nice. Chris Lytle's out there.
Oh,
Nathan Shook.
damn.
Yeah, he's out. I met him. I was like, wow, it's Chris Lytle, man. It's awesome. I'm like, I'm a fan, man. So yeah, I've been following fighting, MMA, whatever, boxing for all my life. So yeah, everybody's super cool. Nobody's trying to make you seem like an idiot, nothing like that. Everybody's super cool. Everybody will talk to you, and you start doing your tryout, you're shadow boxing, you're hitting the bags, you're, measuring your power, and you might get in a little sparring, but it's super cool. They're just, when you have somebody like Chris Lytle, he knows what he's looking for.
Yeah.
So he can tell, you start seeing somebody shadow box, you start, seeing somebody hit the bag, and you can tell, okay, this guy, he's been doing it, he's not super new. So that's how I got into it, man. And then shortly after that, I got the call to take my first fight. I took that first fight. I lost that one against Leo Bercier. Super awesome guy. Uh, everybody. Well, one thing I'll tell you about BKFC, everybody's super cool, man. You're never
That's
gonna you're
dope.
never gonna meet somebody and I'll be like, man, we could be friends now, man. Like I fought him, and I'll tell you a little story. We're in the back and we're getting stitched up in the back after the Leo Bercier fight, and his wife comes up to me. He's like, hey, you want a drink? Everybody's super cool, man. I'm like, yeah, we just fought, man. And there we are in the back getting stitched up, getting, having a drink together. So yeah, everybody was super chill, man. And so after that first fight, I had just opened up my own boxing gym. And
Oh, what's it
yeah,
called?
Lights Out Fitness.
Oh, that's badass, Luis.
Yeah, so yeah, I got a gym down here in San Diego. So I took that time off to develop our own fighters, and took a couple years. We got amateurs going out to fight now. We got our first uh, pro boxing debut coming up. We got a guy coming down to fight next week. So we've been growing that. And one more thing about BKFC, as soon as I felt ready, I get on Instagram. I'm huge on Instagram. Everything happens on Instagram now, social media.
Yeah.
And I send a direct message to Nate Shook, Nathan Shook on Instagram, the matchmaker. And that's one thing I'll tell you as well, man. These guys will listen. It doesn't matter if you lost. It doesn't matter who you are. You send them a message, and they listen, man. They hit you right back. And I told them, hey, I'm ready to fight. And he's like, hold on, it's coming. And I'm like, all right. And I keep working, I keep doing my thing, and I get on there again. Hey, I'm ready to go. Anyone, anytime. And he's like, we're coming to California. Hang tight. And I was like, oh, man, I got super excited about that. And yeah, they came to California, man, just like they said. So everybody's honest. People will give you the time of day. you know, and I love that about BKFC. You know, where else could you tag the president? You know, I'll tag David Feldman, and it's like, boom, he liked your story, or you know, he just, you know, watched your reel, and it's super awesome. And BKFC is awesome. I love it. Everybody's cool, and you get a chance. That's the biggest thing.
What part of Alabama did you have to go down to?
I have no idea. It was Alabama. I can't even remember, man. I've never been down there. It was definitely a
Dude,
culture shock, you know. I'm from the West Coast, so
I couldn't imagine, man. And you went by yourself too? Did any of your family go with you?
by myself, man. I get on a plane, I get to Alabama, and I'm like, well, here I am, you know, like, and everything's so different, man. The restaurants are different. I'm like, I've traveled around the world. I was in the Navy for 20 years. I got 6 deployments overseas, you know.
Yeah.
But it's funny how you could have gone to Thailand. I went to Thailand. I went to Bali. I went to Australia, right? But I never been to Alabama, you know. So it's like, oh. Yeah, but it was just me, man. Just me, just trying to figure things out, man.
What was your family thinking, man? Because I couldn't imagine that by this time you're 38, 39, you just got
Yeah,
out of retirement, you're probably wanting to chill, relax now. And then you're telling them, hey, that BKFC thing, that's not even a big thing yet. It's not like it's nowadays where Conor McGregor's
yeah,
the assistant president or vice president, where he has ownership in the company. Chad Mendez fought in it. Mike Perry's like the
Mike
guy
Perry,
over
yeah.
there. Paige Van Zant's fought over there. Like, so it's blown up now, man. So you do this back in the day where they're probably not even making real money yet either.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, my paycheck definitely more than doubled from my first fight. Yeah, yeah. We're making money now. So yeah,
Nah, yeah,
my
no, for
wife my
sure.
wife looks at me. My wife looks at me and is like, "You're crazy." And I'm like, "Yeah, but you know, I gotta go out and do something." My wife's super supportive.
That's cool.
She's never asked me to not do something. You know what I mean? Even with the MMA fight I took, you know, or talking about BKFC, you know, she always supports me no matter what, you know. And after the last performance, I think she's a little more settled now, so she's good with it, you know.
Yeah.
So it's all good. One more thing, though, I'll tell you this: she's never stopped me from doing anything, right? But a couple years ago, we're sitting on the couch, we're watching TV, and a commercial comes on, right? And it's Power Slap, right? Dude, she turns and looks at me, and she's like, "You're not doing that." And I'm like, "Dude, you know," I'm like, "Cherie, you know I'll do anything, but I will not do that." You know,
Yeah.
that's where she drew the line, dude. We watched that commercial, she looks at me, she's like, "You're not doing that shit." And I'm like, "No, I'm not. You're right." Man. So that's where she drew the line. She's like, because I'm crazy, dude. I'll try anything, you know, I don't care. But even I was like, no. But yeah, that's where she drew the line, man. She's super supportive. Uh, the opportunity to fight here in California was huge for us. I had family come from Arizona, obviously my wife, my kids, you know, all here. So that was super awesome. Yeah, and she's all about getting that next fight.
Where
So I
was
got
that
all that
in
support.
California?
In Temecula, it's about 45. Well, depending on where you're at in San Diego, it's about 30 minutes north of San Diego.
Oh, so it's basically hometown for you
Yeah,
too, man.
it was hometown. Yeah, I sold a whole bunch of tickets, man, just between my gym, friends. Yeah, I got
Let's
a good
go.
few. Yeah. We had a ton of people there. It was amazing. And then you know how they do it. It'll be like one out of town guy and one local guy. So you walk out, they say San Diego, and the crowd just explodes. It's like no, it was awesome. Yeah, it was good, man. Super
So,
crazy.
so before this, you haven't had a boxing career, MMA career, nothing.
Nothing, nothing.
Dude, dude,
I'll
that's
tell you this though.
crazy.
I spent 20 years in the Navy, going overseas. We got into plenty of fist fights.
Yeah.
A lot of bar hopping in the military. Yeah, but I did train a little boxing as a kid. Unfortunately, I was born and raised in Mexico, and I did start boxing there. And when we moved over to the States, we were super poor, and you just couldn't continue to do that. I got into gangs as a teenager and all that dumb stuff, and I knew how to do something, right? So when the Navy recruiter came into my high school, I was like, dude, I gotta get out of here.
Yeah.
And then, all right, I'll tell you this: I was super Mexican. I barely spoke English at that point, but the guy was like, dude, I'll give you a job and I'll take you out of Arizona. And I was like, let's do it. I'm
Where we
down.
going?
And the rest is history, man. Yeah, I loved it. I had a great time in the military. So yeah, it really it I am who I am today because of that decision that I made, that I needed to do something better with myself, and not just hang around Arizona and do the whole gangbanging thing. So I'm super. I thank God for that opportunity, and it worked out. But yeah, that was about the extent of it. I joined the military, and so I was always a guy that always had boxing gloves, always had headgear. We'd go on deployment, and I pull other guys into it, and along the way, you meet people that have fought, or people that got a lot more experience than I did, and I would learn from them. One of my deployments, we had it started with me and one of my buddies. He was a Golden Gloves champ back in the day, and we started training. And then we're on deployment, we're not doing a whole lot, so other people start getting interested. By the end of it, we had like 20 people, and at that point, by the end of deployment, we were sparring, we were doing the whole nine, so every deployment, you know here at the house, I was, or at the gym, I was always training for it because I love the sport. I love fighting. I think it's in my DNA, So yeah, so when I retired, I knew I was gonna fight. I'm like, I'm fighting. I gotta do it. I gotta do it now. So yeah, BKFC provided that opportunity.
Is because a question I was gonna ask you too, man. Because I've maybe been hit in the face with a bare knuckle, like for real, maybe once or twice my whole life. Like I've gotten in like a couple little scraps. I just do amateur MMA, so I'm 3-1
Yeah.
right now. But that's with
Awesome.
gloves. We're sparring with puffy gloves on. We're sparring with
Yeah.
12-ounce gloves on. We're sparring with headgear. I could not imagine, dude, getting hit in the face bare knuckle by somebody who wants to punch you as hard as they possibly want to with bare knuckles on. I mean, I know it shouldn't be much of a difference with from the 4-ounce gloves to 6-ounce gloves, but it's bare knuckle. How were you even worried about
It,
that, or were you just like,
it's
this is
a
part of it?
Oh, I like fighting. It didn't matter to me. I've been in plenty of fist fights, but yeah, I've been in a lot of fights, man. I The reason I went to jail was because of fighting. Unfortunately, I was downtown San Diego. We were hanging out with and then somebody threw a punch at me, and then I punched them harder, so I wound up getting the charge. But yeah, I've been fighting my whole life, man. Unfortunately, I'm not proud of it now. I used to be when I was young. It was like, yeah, I can
Yeah.
fight, But
Yeah,
no,
now
man.
we all are. Yeah, we all are.
That was all nonsense, But yeah, I've never been scared of fighting. I've been plenty of fights. I'll tell you this about sparring, though. I own a boxing gym. We sparring every Thursday, and sparring events, and I don't get in there as much with my gym as far as sparring boxing. I've never hit anybody hard in my gym. I don't think I never would. I'll let the younger, teens and stuff, beat up on me. I'll move around with them, but
Yeah.
I'll never hit back at them. But it's night and day difference. And with boxing gloves, right? You can protect
Oh,
yourself. You can. Oh,
dude.
it's night and day difference. Now the MMA gloves. This last camp, one of our members, he's got a pretty big background in like Muay Thai and kickboxing and stuff. And he's a big guy, man. I'm short and I'm small, but he's a big guy, man. And I was like, you're gonna be my sparring partner. He doesn't care about getting hit, So I was like, perfect. So me and him did all our sparring, and we started with no fucking gloves on, man. And that was a bad idea. Man, that was
That's
again,
great.
it's a big that was a bad idea, man. We're all jacked up. I got black eyes, he's all beat up, and we're like,
Oh,
we moved from that to hand wraps, and we're like, well, nope. And then we went to MMA gloves. So yeah, there is a difference between bare knuckle and MMA gloves. I can do a lot more with that MMA glove than I could with a bare knuckle. Yeah, so don't go sparring bare knuckle. That's a bad idea as well.
bro.
It was fun, dude. This guy likes to get hit. I don't mind getting hit. So I mean, we had tons of fun, but I was like, all right, dude, we're getting close to the fight. I can't afford to, get all beat up. But there's a huge difference between MMA gloves and bare knuckle. Yeah.
Do you hit pads bare knuckle or hit the bag bare knuckle? I know you probably get asked that a ton, but I've just wondered
Uh,
that to get conditioned.
so my first fight, I broke my
Ah,
my knuckle here, and I broke
ah,
his finger. And I
damn.
don't know, I don't know if you've seen Leo Bercier, but Leo, he's got a hard head, man. He fought Townsell before his last fight, right? Townsell's a big guy, man. He just fought in one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Townsell broke both his hands on Leo Bercier's head,
Ah,
his prior fight. He's got a hard head, man, and I broke a knuckle. He's got like a block, man. So
ah.
for this fight, I'll tell you what I did, and I'm sure other people will look into this. I watched Mike Perry. I watched Mike Perry. I took clips, put him on slow motion on how he hits and how he lands his punches. And Mike Perry, he's a monster with bare knuckle, man. And I'm telling you, we put that stuff on slow motion. He hardly ever throws hooks. If in boxing you throw a hook, right, you can
Mhm.
land with your glove, you're protected. With bare knuckle, it's harder, and you have to turn your hand. So it's harder to throw a clean hook. So if you watch my fight, I didn't throw one hook, man. It was all straight punches turning the knuckle, right? It was all
Yeah.
straight punches turning the knuckle, and my hands came out fabulous. But yeah, the pads, I never hit them without gloves on. I'll hit them with gloves, but the bag, I put, man, I probably couldn't count how many rounds I put on that bag with my bare knuckles and just landing. You'll never hurt
Ah,
your hand if you land them right. So I put round after round after round on that bag, training my knuckles and how to land the punch, because it's night and day between gloves and no gloves on, right? So yeah, that's what I did, man. I watched Mike Perry, and I just turned him. Yeah, but I put hours and hours and hours on that bag with a bare knuckle, and it worked because I didn't break my hand. So thank God. Yeah, that was
thank
the one thing
God.
with she was not, my wife was not happy about after that first fight, man. I had two
Ah,
casts on, and I'm like walking around. It's like, I can't do anything. She's like, man,
ah,
it was funny. She
ah.
had to give
How
me
long?
showers. She had to give me showers and everything. I'm like, my bad, man. But yeah, we worked the knuckles this time around, and it
How long
worked
did it
out.
take for the hands to heal?
It
Like
took
to where you
about
could
six
spar again,
months.
hit the
Yeah,
bag and
yeah.
not
It
think
took
about
about
it.
6 months, man. About
Oh
6 months.
man.
But at that point, we were super deep into our amateurs and getting them out there and getting them their
Oh,
first
okay,
fight.
good.
So I wasn't
Good.
even thinking about fighting yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, we put a lot of work in at the gym. So
Dude,
me,
that's
the
such a
kids.
great point when you were talking about how Mike does and like the precision of striking. Dude, you
Yeah,
literally can't just throw these things and hope they land.
you can't. No, you
That's
break your hand, man.
insane.
Yeah. So yeah, there's hooks. You can't throw a hook like you do in boxing, man. It's just totally different. You
No.
have to turn it. You have to run it right. But yeah, me and my son, we sat down for hours and watched these fights. And I'm telling you, we slow motion them. We slow motion them
Wow.
things to watch it. So yeah, so if you go back and watch my last fight, there wasn't one hook. There wasn't. It was all straight punches. You know, I'll have some stuff for my next fight. Because I'm sure my next opponent's gonna watch my last fight and they're gonna say, "Oh, he's just gonna nah. We got some things working. We're gonna change it up." Oh yeah, and
Uh,
talking about that, I just heard some whispers today, man, that BKFC is coming back to California. So I'm super excited about that. I'm gonna jump on that phone, and hey, let's go. I'm ready. So
Yeah.
yeah, I just heard that today. So yeah, I gotta get on that social media.
Because your last fight was July against Fields, right?
July, yeah, yeah, July.
First round KO was like a minute and a half into the fight.
Yeah. Hey, back to getting hit with bare knuckle. I'll tell you this:
Yeah.
Red Fields has power. He's got a lot of power. His last
Yeah.
fight was by KO, right? My strategy for this fight coming in was to get some rounds in. I was gonna move around a little bit, get some rounds in, right? But that first exchange, and we knew he was gonna come in hard. We knew that's his style. He's just gonna come forward, try to knock you out. I angled out, and we threw a couple of punches, and that was a first knockdown round. It was like 6 seconds into the first round or something. But in that exchange, he caught me, man. He hit me, and I was like, oh damn, he's got power, man. I was like, nope, I'm not. Yeah, and that's when I said I gotta finish it, because with bare knuckle, there's no room for error. It takes one
None.
punch. You're getting cut, you're getting knocked out, you're getting your nose, twisted.
Mm,
There's no room for error, man. You get hit, it takes one punch with bare knuckle, and you got a
mm.
big old flash, or you're knocked out. But yeah, in that exchange, I wound up putting my hand down when I knocked him down, but he landed here, and I was like, oh. I was like, we're gonna have to get after it. There's no 2 or 3 rounds in this one, because if he catches me, it's dangerous. So yeah, it worked out.
Is it weird towing the line and being less than like 2 feet from your opponent and then the ref going, go. And it's just you're in each other's face right
Boom.
there. There's no walking to the middle to meet. There's no couple seconds to
Yeah,
breathe that you're going. Because like in MMA, when they go, you ready, you're ready. Man, that
right.
first 3 seconds for me, I'm like the most anxiety I've ever had in my life. And then once I start walking, I can kind of start easing it down. I couldn't
Yeah.
imagine you're here to here, go, and you instantly you're scrapping. He's in your face, you gotta get in his face. What is that like for you?
So I don't get nervous at all.
Really?
I don't know. People obviously that's the first thing anybody asks me. Oh, were you nervous? Well, how
Yeah.
I have no emotions in the ring. I don't know if it's because I'm old. I don't know if it's because, I don't know why it is. Because, I see, our amateurs go out and you can tell they're nervous and,
Oh man. That's
it
me.
takes them around, sometimes a couple
Yes.
minutes, I don't get nervous at all, man.
Not even
I
in the back. Like
Nope.
the fight before you, like that fight ends. They're like, all right, Luis, you're up next. There's not like
No, I don't get
butterflies.
nervous, man. I don't get nervous at all.
Wow.
I'll tell you how I do it, and this is what I tell my amateurs all the time. I get nervous when I sign the contract. My first contract was actually on paper, so I signed it, right? That's
Damn.
when I got nervous. I'm shaking
Yeah.
signing that contract because I'm a man of my word, right? And that
Yeah.
signature says I'm gonna be at this place at this date and I'm gonna fight. That's when I get nervous. As soon as I sign that contract, I start picturing it in my head. And and I'm serious when I say this, dude. I'll go take a shit and I can hear the bell ring. I'll be in the shower and I can see the first punch. I'm just imagining it in my head, It doesn't matter if it's 2 months that I signed the contract, or three, it doesn't matter in my head. Every time I hit the bag in my head, I'm hitting him, he's hitting me. It's all right here. So, that's how I prepare. And it doesn't get me nervous because I really, by the time I'm in the back, I feel like, okay, I put in the work, we watched tape, we did the running, we did the sparring, and in my head, I've seen it a million times, and that's exactly what I tell my fighters, man. Picture it. Every moment of my day, I'm picturing that I'm hearing that bell, that first step, and yeah, you start so close together. Okay, is he coming forward? Like I'll go through scenarios. He throws this, I go here. I throw that, we go there. And then that's how I prepare for it, man. And it's worked for me. From having no experience to getting think about that, right? I have no experience in fighting. This was my
Crazy.
second fight. I'm in front of like the casino was packed. It was standing room only. The
Pack.
lights were on. People are watching on the app. And hey, another thing about BKFC growing, man, I didn't. One of the guys watched it on Prime Video, and I'm like, what? I didn't even know you could watch it. Yeah, they're growing. But yeah, you got thousands of people watching, and then to top it off, my family's there, my kids are there. My son, he's my corner. He's 21 years
Oh
old.
my God.
Yeah, this is the
Dude.
second. This is second time cornering me. Yeah, man. But yeah, it doesn't make me nervous at all. I just picture it. Yeah,
You could
that's how
tell,
I
man,
deal with it.
because you looked so calm in that second fight. And then when I was looking your record up, I was like, there's no way he's 1-1. There's no way he only has two BKFC fights. And then now
Yeah.
hearing this, I was like, I bet you he boxed. He probably grew up, had a
No,
long amateur career. It's
no.
insane hearing this, man.
Yeah, I think it's all right here. And I tell my guys that, fighting is all in your head, man. You're
Yeah.
gonna make you or break you. If you start doubting yourself, you might as well not show up, man. That's what I tell my amateurs, and that's how we train. We train to win, man. And I tell them, picture it. Everything we do is towards winning. Because if you doubt yourself, it's over. You can't doubt yourself.
Man, I'm telling you, Luis, I'm gonna rewatch this when I get close to the mine, dude, because the anxiety I have, like 2 weeks out, is insane. I just, like you said, it's all mental and just not overthinking it, doing the
Yeah, no,
work.
it's all mental, man. You got to
Yes,
trust that you've done the right things. You got to
yes.
trust your coaches, trust your road work, trust your mid work, your back, trust your training, man, and trust yourself. Picture it. I'm telling you, just picture it. And when you get there, it's like you've seen it a million times. And here's my big line that I tell everybody. You ready? Here it comes. What's he gonna do? He's gonna hit me in the face. Well, aren't you scared? Aren't you nervous? And I'm like, what's the dude gonna do? He's gonna try and hit me in the face, man. And guess what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna hit him right back. And I'm gonna try to hit him 2 or 3 times. Yeah, man. Fighting's no big deal, man. I don't care. Because in my head, he's gonna try and hit me.
Yeah.
Whoop-de-doo. Guess what? I'm gonna try and get him back. He better hit me hard because I'm coming. You know, I don't know, man. I guess that's just what it is, man. And
Luis,
everybody
I'm gonna
laughs when I
call you.
say that, but I'm like, no, I'm serious. Think about it. You're
Yeah.
gonna go get in a fight. The dude's gonna try and hit you. You gotta hit him back.
Yeah.
It's that simple, man. Yeah.
Luis, I'm calling you a week out, bro, before I go. Uh, I got about 10 minutes with you, Luis. I don't want to take up too much more of your time. I love your story, man. I gotta have you back on because I'm not even in half the questions I wanted to ask you.
Yeah.
Uh,
Dude, I'm an open book, man. I'm honest. Anything when people ask me stuff, I'm just honest. I think I got that from my grandfather. I don't lie. I just tell the truth, man. And I think it's better living that way for me. I anybody ask me anything, I tell them, man, I don't care. How much money you make, I tell them. How'd you feel? Great. It doesn't matter to me, dude. I always tell the truth.
yeah.
And yeah, I got a huge story, man. I'm from Mexico, like being hungry, as a kid to retiring from the military, and now doing this. I've had it's been a wild ride for me, that's for sure. I know it's not a lot to a lot of people, but for somebody like me to now own my own house, when you know if I could put it into words, what I went through as a kid being hungry, no kid deserves to be hungry. We were so poor, we were hungry,
Yeah.
not because we didn't have, you know, what I wanted to eat in the refrigerator, because we had no food. So, to go from there to where I'm at now, I'm super grateful, and I'm thankful, little things. I always remember where I come from, it's like, shit, man. I just went kayaking with my son, and it's like, dude, to be able to, those little things, that a lot of people take for granted, where I came from, people aren't out fucking kayaking, dude. They're out trying to eat, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no,
So,
no, no.
to be where I'm at now, and it's like, man, I'm so grateful and I'm so thankful, and I know it's, my mom always tells me, it's because you worked for it. And it's like, yeah, I busted my ass for it, but I'm still
Yeah.
grateful because I still remember. So yeah, man, I'm always down to come on and talk, man, and hopefully, if I get a date soon or whatever, I'll let you know, man, and it'll be a good time, that's for sure. I'm about to get on this social media hard. We gotta go. Everything happens in social media. I try to tell. So one thing I try to tell everybody, man, a lot of these guys don't get on social media. Everything right now for fighting is happening on social media. I don't know how coaches did it back in the day. I could only imagine, like, if you had a coach and they were trying to get you a fight, they were like in this Rolodex of numbers.
Oh,
I
dude.
picture a fat coach with a cigarette and like, hey, I got this guy.
Yeah.
Now all you gotta do is get on social media, man. Even for my amateurs, that's where I find out where the next event is at. That's where I find out who's gonna be there. And for
Yeah.
myself, especially with an organization as like BKFC, where they're so receptive, like, you can bug the crap out of them, man, and just tag them, and they won't block you, they won't be mad, and when it's ready, they'll respond, So I always, if you're a fighter, and this is for everybody, if you're a fighter out there, get on social media, grow it, because that's how you get started. That's how you get those opportunities. It's through social media.
It's huge, man. Like moments like this, like if you don't have Instagram, how can I even get you on the podcast? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
And learn more about your
exactly.
story.
Mhm.
Real quick, Luis, before I get you out of here, I gotta know, what is David Feldman like?
So David Feldman, uh, whether you're talking to him backstage or through Instagram or whatever. And then this is what I like about him, and I think him and some of the other promoters are the same way, and some of them aren't. David Feldman has been in the ring, right? He knows what it's like to fight. So when David Feldman goes out and says this fight sucks, I respect it, because I watch the fights just like he does. I watch it as a fighter and as a fan, and that's what he does. And sometimes people don't get that about David Feldman, is that he's talking from different views. He's not just an owner of a business. He's been in the ring. He knows what it's like. So I love that about him, that he'll come out and say, "Hey, your fucking fight sucked, dude." And it's like, okay, it's different taking criticism from somebody sitting on the couch that's never done it than from somebody that's been in there. You know what I mean? And I respect that. I respect that he's got the drive of a fighter. And that's really the reason why BKFC's gone so huge, is because you got a guy like David Feldman that knows the struggles of the fighters, that knows what it's like. So in the back, he just talks to you like a person, like a fighter. You know, he talks to you like a fighter because he is a fighter. So it's super cool to talk to him because he's just a dude. You know, you don't have to get like starstruck or like, oh shit, that's the boss. No,
Yeah.
that guy, and he'll tell you, you better get out there and fucking perform if you want a job, you know? And it's true because he's a fighter. And that's a big thing about BKFC, man. And you, if you've been in the back, they'll tell you if you go out there and you throw down, man, you got a job. It doesn't matter if you win or you lose. You know what I mean? If you go out there and you throw down, yeah, what they don't want is boring fights, and I understand that because I'm a fan and I'm a fighter. So I
Yeah.
get that. David Feldman's awesome. Everybody in the organization is awesome. One more thing though, getting paid. I've never fought for anybody else, but I've heard horror stories. Dude, you go before my last fight, my first fight was we all got done getting beat up and beating people up, and it's like, all right, everybody get over here. We walked around the ring, and we lined up, and boom, you get a paycheck. I'm like,
Oh,
damn, this
no
works.
shit.
You get your paycheck, man. This last fight, they tracked me down. They're like, boom, here's your paycheck. So I've heard a lot of horror stories with different organizations about getting paid. Dude, I like that about BKFC. You're not worried about getting your paycheck, man, because your paycheck's already there. So
Yeah.
that's pretty cool to me. Like I said, I don't have anything to compare it to, but man, if you go, you can't tell me that's not a good way to do it. I mean, you go, you fight, and they hand you a paycheck. Like, yeah. So yeah, man, that was pretty cool. Yeah. So I think the whole organization is awesome.
Luis, thank you so much for coming on, bro. I'm gonna get you back on.
I
We gotta do
appreciate
this
you
more than
having me,
30
man.
minutes next time. Thank
Yeah,
you
I
so much,
appreciate it.
bro.
Thank you.